How was everyone doing today? Oh, thank you for starting this, Jamie. I totally forgot about this. Um, so tell me something. What's good, folks? What's going on?
We have
Anything good?
electricity.
I'm sorry?
We have electricity. Shamanad is down,
Oh, hey, lucky us.
right? We
Lucky
have
us.
electricity. So that's something to smile about.
That is something to smile about. Well, good. Good for all of you that you have AC and electricity. Because it's pretty hot right now. And I'm sorry, not all of you do have AC, but I do have an AC update. So let's get started, but give me a second. I got to pull up this agenda now. Should have been prepared. Should have been prepared. Here's what I found. Oh, I'm not talking to you, Siri. One moment, please. Okay, Chancellor's updates. Here it is. Okay. Well, welcome to week what is it, week 2. And if you guys are anything like me, actually week 3, right? What a week 3. What a week 1, week 2? Week 2. I was really happy, and I'm very happy to see all the students here. And I want to thank I do want to thank on behalf of Louise, all of you folks that have been here throughout, that are teaching right now, the student services folks that are taking care of our students. We are not back up to 100%, but it's nice. It's nice to just see real bodies and real students here. I think Coco folks have had a couple of events now. We had at iHeart Kaimuki with Sheldon and a group of you folks that have really made this campus almost back to normal. It's a great feeling. And hopefully we can continue to just grow our in-person presence. But with that opening done, and sorry, Pat, thank you. It's week 3. You should not have told me, because then I would have been in week 15 and it would have been an early present for me in December. But let's go to some announcements. Let me call on Noyao to give some announcements here.
Yeah, just some quick announcements. It's iHeart Kapiolani, but we also do Heart Kaimuki in this area for the last event. Okay, so some quick this is just reminders more than announcements. Participation verification was due yesterday. So I believe Jerry is doing all the tabulations and be doing her changes later on this week. The next one is there are some questions around masking in the classrooms. So this is mainly for the instructors or anybody who have the masking in place, such as the library. So basically, if people are coming into your areas without masks, you may redirect them to stay outside until they have a mask. We do have some limited areas on our campus that are still giving out masks, but the supply is becoming dwindling. So there is the Kamakila Center that does have some masks. Our office, the VCSA office, also have masks. I believe some of the instructors is working with their department chairs to have some masks on hand. So that's probably your first line of trying to get students to wear a mask. The other one is, if they refuse to wear a mask or don't have one, you can ask them to leave the classroom or don't attend for that day. Obviously, if it escalates and the students are not wanting to comply, it's the same as any other issues with students not complying. You can also call security to ensure that they follow that. The other one, we're operating under the assumption that we have been through COVID over the past 2 years, and masking, I mean, it is inconsistent across different places, but people should be used to wearing a mask. So I don't think as a college, we're ordering a lot more to bring it in terms of supplying the student population, because we're expecting that they should have masks by now. But if you still need those places, they can still get one there. That's it for announcements. Am I gonna go to the questions later on, Brian, or you want me to try to answer them now?
I mean, if there's any questions, let's deal with the ones that you just, any questions regarding participation verification, masking for Noel? Okay, if there's any other questions, Noel, that you need to answer, go ahead.
Okay, so going back, I guess, since I have this time, in the agenda, there's a question about, is there gonna be a ceremony or another ceremony that would include students in terms of naming of the Great Lawn Makahiapo? So that one, I believe this request is coming from Student Congress through my conversations with either both Jenny and Shauna. But the idea, I believe the reason behind that question was there's the naming of the Great Lawn that happened the week before school started. And they're just wondering if we're gonna do it something as a campus to let the students know so that unless you read the announcements the week before campus, you would never know that the Great Lawn is now named Makahiapo. So I don't think it's something they want to do where it's the protocol we did the week before campus college started. I do think it's a more of an informational kind of deal. So I'll be working with Jenny and Shauna to put in a request, probably to Kala'olani, to do more one of those informational sessions in terms of having something outside. Maybe we can do a bigger event and talk about the naming of the Great Lawn, the meaning behind it, probably intertwine some of the other Hawaiian values on our campus, or point out some of the sidewalks maybe, but we probably could do an event that is more apparent now with everything being here on campus, and then probably working with Student Congress to ensure that there's an event so that it's more obvious to the student population that there was the recent renaming of the Great Lawn. I think that's it for now.
Thanks, Noel. Any questions regarding that? That would be good for the students, I think. Next set of announcements, John.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Brian, I'm going to share my screen if that's okay.
Go for it. Let me make sure you can. Yeah, I think you can.
All right. I want to announce and make sure that everybody's aware of our Near and Far 2022 conference. This is the first Culinary Institute of the Pacific Diamond Head conference. This is kind of a coming out party. We're in the last year of construction, so we're starting to position CIP locally, nationally, and globally. And so this is the first conference to begin to set that tone as to what CIP is going to be to the public. And I'll read you a little bit. Celebrated chefs and culinary thought leaders from near and far are coming to Diamond Head for the inaugural food conference. The Culinary Institute of the Pacific has gathered inspired thinkers and food innovators for deep dive conversations, panel discussions on the intersection of food, culture, and media. I just put the link to this in the chat if you're interested. Who's coming? Lots of folks are coming from all over the world for this seemingly one-day conference. There's one day of it that's public facing. These same folks will be here the 22nd, the next day on campus in 118 for a program for just our students. New York Times, Koji, this is really really a hit, I think, with every chef I talked to. The mold-based fermentation, I think Chef Lauren's been doing some crazy things over in her lab, fermenting a Subway sandwich and all kinds of things. So a great list. Dave Evans is going to be facilitating one of our meetings. Full schedules right here. And again, there's been a core committee that has been working on this for months. Grant, Louise, Lynn, primarily Melanie Kosaka, who is one of our consultants on this project. So we're really starting to set the brand for the first time, I think, for CIP. So wanted to share that with you. If you think anybody's going to be interested in that, please share the link. This is This is world-class. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Any questions for John in the conference? Okay, Carol?
Okay, thanks, Brian. Okay, I just have a couple of quick announcements. The first one is about the Kaya Ulu webinar series. I think most of you are familiar with those. And what we're doing this year is we're collaborating with Serene, who you've heard from Miku and Bob Franco about that resilience hub. They're actually going to do a 4-part series along with the Kaya Ulu webinar. And the first one is coming up on Thursday next week, September the 14th from 6 to 7:30. And the topic is going to be climate resilience for Oahu neighborhoods. If you saw my announcement in the newsletter, we're saying that climate change isn't something in the future. It's here right now. And so we need to be ready. I will put the information in the chat in just a moment. My second announcement is about the Culinary Institute of the Pacific virtual town hall, which we hold quarterly. And the next one is going to be on Thursday, October the 6th from 5 to 6 p.m. At that time, the information about the latest work on construction will be shared. And there's quite a bit that has happened since the last meeting. So I hope you'll tune in for that. And again, I'll put both of those links in the chat. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you, Carol. Any questions about the webinar and the CIP virtual town hall? Okay, just some quick announcements from my area, although I don't generally have quick announcements because there's always lots of questions. But I have some really great news. I'm going to start off there because I normally start off with the bad news. The good news is I initially told the campus that the Lot A resurfacing and repavement would be completed in the middle of October. And we're in good hands so far. The weather's been great. Product and materials have been coming in. And more importantly, it hasn't been a shortage of construction employees. So staffing has been more than adequate for this job. We're scheduled to finish in the 3rd week of September, in which case the striping and everything will be done. And then we can return that back to the folks who generally park up in the upper campus. There is tons of parking right now, so it should not be any sort of an issue to find parking. It's just, I do know it can be far to walk up from Lot B or Lot C to the upper campus. So thank you. I appreciate everyone's patience as we churn through this project. For those of you that are in Kokio, Kauila, Iliahi, you may be wondering, oh, geez, my spigot's not working. And some of the water's been turned off. I'm not sure why I didn't say something sooner, but I'm saying it now. At the very day that David Apostle is turning the water back on. COA 100 is our ceramics lab. And you know, when you work with clay and then you go wash your hands, right? And then where does that all go? Any guesses where that goes? No guesses or just uninterested? Okay, I'll tell you guys. It goes into the drain, and we're supposed to have a filtration system, and that filtration system was built with the building back in 1980, 90 something. So the filtration system technically hasn't been working for probably a couple of decades. We have about 3 to 5 foot of clay stacked up in 3 manholes and about 150 to 200 foot of drainage pipes that are literally just clogged with clay. So our building maintenance crew has been on top of this. We are hiring a contractor to basically power shoot water to clear our drains and empty the manholes. The reason why the water was off is because if anything were to happen, you remember the last time the backside of Kalia got flooded? I did not want the other side to get flooded. And so that's why we had turned off the water. Not, yeah, Kalia would have been the one that would be in jeopardy. And to a small degree, Koa. Even though Kokio is the closest building to those pipes, it's on a hill, so it wouldn't have been flooded. But regardless, that's the reason why. So it is turned on. It will be turned on today again. Air conditioning, not going to go through too much of it, other than we are still or plugging our way through this. Wanda's been working with JCI, our contractor, to get most of these things squared away. In many of our outage areas, we are talking about not necessarily big dollars, although most of them are big dollars. It's the time. It's the time that it's taking to repair things. The first one is the time that it's taking to go through procurement. Our procurement process for construction related repairs is now twice as long. The second one is it's the time for materials. We can't just go to the store for these things and send our contractors to the store. We're looking at sometimes 2 to 3 months just waiting for parts to come in. When we're talking about large full-scale replacements like we are doing in Llama for one of our chillers, we're talking about a lead time of 11 months just to get a chiller in. And so, that's what's really killing us. So in those situations, we are coming up with alternative workarounds when we can. For example, I was just speaking with Nadine via email this morning, and we should have some workarounds for some of the spaces that need some air in Kokio. But be patient, please, with not only me and Wanda, but also with our contractors. We've gotten a couple of reports that they've been yelled at, and certainly I don't want us to be this campus that treats our vendors and our contractors with disrespect. So please be patient with them. And finally, budget allocation. So your respective administrator should be working with you prior to the 15th, in which case for department chairs and budget managers, you'll get your budget allocation for FY23. Outside of that, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. There's an announcement here. I'm not sure who's going to make it. I know it's left by Sheldon. Is anybody saying this for Sheldon, or should I read it out? No, none of the counselors. Okay, so CAAC, or Counseling and Academic Advising Council, is going to meet on September 15th, October 20th, November 17th, December 15th, January 19th, February 26th, March 9th, April 21. I'm going to just copy and paste this puppy. Okay, so the announcement basically is about CAAC, opportunity for staff and faculty to share initiatives and our program highlights for all KCC counselors and academic advisors. So I've pasted the announcement in there. If there are any questions, please direct them to Sheldon. Any questions about that? Ask Noyao. He might have an answer. Okay, last announcement here. I want to call on Sean Yakavone for AUW.
Oh, thanks, Ryan. So Honda International Center is spearheading the AUW efforts this year, and we're kind of new to this, but we had some guidance from Darsh and some others that gave some ideas, and so we're going to be sending out some information on a couple of events that we're trying to put together. It's still in the planning stages. There's a lot of things that we still need to map out, discuss, and make sure that it's okay to do. So these are not finalized yet, but we have a few things in discussion. One is a like a Hawaiian music concert using historical instruments, and so We have Paula Kiko, Joe Yoshida, and Mark, I think, on our campus that can also play. But we also have some musicians off campus that are willing to volunteer their time as well. We're looking at hopefully holding this on September 27th, which is a Tuesday around noon. And we're in touch with Grant from Culinary as well as Chef Allen to see if we might be able to do some things in terms of food. And of course, all the proceeds for this would be going towards Aloha United Way, aside from the food costs and those expenses might be. So that's one of the events that we hope to do. Some of the instruments, if you're interested in music, are pretty cool historical pieces. These are some of the first ukuleles ever made from Hawaiian Kingdom time period. So it's not your typical concert, I guess. But we also have some, historical guitars, and of course, Kani Kopila, enjoy some food, enjoy some music, and that's the thought, and raise some funds. And that will be September 27th. We're also we hope to be doing a both an auction using Zoom as well as in person in the cafeteria around October 4th, which is also a Tuesday. And so we're going to be sending out an email to request, donations. If you have some things that you're willing to donate, unused gift cards, whatever it might be, that's either new or near new condition that might be of interest to someone, but you're not using it and you want to put it to a good cause, you can either drop that off at the Honda Center, and then we're going to be taking photos of those things. We'll list some things, and then we'll run an auction later in the beginning of next month. Damien, you want to share on the bake thing with Culinary? You on there?
Yeah, sure. Actually, so one of the other things that we were discussing is maybe also tying that into a bake sale as well. Like Sean said, we're right now in the discussion and planning phase of that, but looking forward to that. As you all know, everything that comes out of Culinary is delicious, and it'll be a lot of fun. So hope to have some news for you soon. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you so much. We're still working through the details. Wanda has been amazing, and my apologies to Brian, because we should have talked to Brian before we talked to Wanda. But we're trying to move some things forward. It's a bit tricky to work through some schedules, but we're going to do our best that we can. And we would love to have your support. Of course, as you've seen in the emails as well, there are emails circulating about being able to donate directly to Aloha United Way. They have an online platform, which is fantastic. So you'd be able to go there and be able to donate. So we're going to be sending some emails out on this as well. There's also one on September 19th, possibly partnering with, Panda or CPK. That is the one that's least developed in all of the discussions. It was one that we wanted to add to this because there may be people that might be interested in supporting by either purchasing a bento from Panda or CPK. And if you happen to be on campus, we may coordinate that to just pick them up all at one time, and then you just come and grab them on campus. So Eugen and Nahoko have been instrumental in facilitating that discussion, but that one is less developed. We have yet to talk specifically with Panda or CPK. And please forgive us for the late start. We were asked, I think about last week, beginning of last week, to help with this. And then Wednesday was the first meeting with Aloha United Way. So we spent much of last week brainstorming different ways that we might be able to work together as a unit, but also create something that would be unique and different and fun, and I think Darsh and others that have gone before us have done an amazing job. So there was a high precedent, but also lessons for us to learn from, and not to compare, but we're just going to try. We'd love to partner with all of you in any of these activities, whichever ones we can pull off. But those are the 3 or 4 things that we're kind of looking at. So information will be forthcoming. We'll be posting it, of course, to the KCC events page. There will be some emails that will be circulating as well. But if you have any questions or any interest, or if you wanted to jump in, please, you can either email me or contact HIC, any one of us, and we will be happy to chat a bit more. But thank you so much.
Thanks, Sean, Damien,
Thank you.
appreciate it. And congratulations for being the chosen ones this year.
We're going to try.
We'll do the best we can to support you.
Thank you.
I believe there's a couple of more announcements. Sonny just put one on here. You want to go ahead and just say that verbally, Sonny? Sunny.
Hi, folks. Can you hear me? I'm not going through my headphones. So I just got word from email through my email connections that there is going to be a Hawaii Student Success Institute March 3. I'm sure there's going to be organizers chosen, but I thought I would just pop that in there for people to be aware of. Thank you.
Thanks, Sunny. I still remember in 2020, the last time we had HSSI in person. And if you guys remember correctly, what was the big talk? Are we going to shut down? And then
Yes.
2 days later, we shut down. Well, at least for the spring break. And of course, I mean, we all know how that played out. But yeah, so whenever I think of, unfortunately, whenever I think of HSSI, I'm always just going to think about, oh, here comes the pandemic. So anyway, it's probably just my negative thought. But thanks, it's good. We're going to.
We missed a big all the people that were there, you know, at, was it Hilton Hawaiian Village? But all the folks that were there, we were lucky. Nobody got sick.
Yeah, we really were. I didn't think about that. None of us, we didn't even know what social distancing was. Anyway, one more announcement. I should have said it earlier. For those of you not on the CAC listserv, I do want to congratulate. We do now have an HR manager, and a permanent one. Darsh Dave was named as our HR manager. So congratulations, Darsh. And, you know, I mean, he comes without having any introduction. He's been here for a while. You all know what he can do. And extremely well-rounded, versatile. So we're looking forward to his leadership in HR. And I believe it's now time for strategic planning. Kara?
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Brian. If Annie, can you give me a thumbs up if I sound okay? Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And what you'll see is slides may look very familiar to Convocation because I'm reusing some of them and I use that for a different template, but we'll go forward. So, you know, we only have about 4 months left before Chancellor wants to have some kind of, at least a draft of the strategic plan ready to go so that whoever's coming in to take our place has a firm foundation to work on in terms of what we value as a campus. So it really is a community, and it doesn't matter really who's at the helm because it's the collective of what we value and what we want to focus on in the next 6 years. I'm going to just give you a quick reminder, and you may remember this great quote from CELA back at a couple of weeks ago, that just if we are going to be an Indigenous serving institution, when we talk about who we are and what we do, we have to bring in community and we have to bring in the health, the well-being of who we are. And I'm hoping to do that through this wellness survey. So we only have, I'm gonna keep it open until Friday, because I heard from some people that were in the cafeteria, they didn't have pens, they didn't have their phones, so they weren't able to record this. So if you have, come back to this page, but quickly, 51 responses so far, yay, thank you. So if you haven't, please add to that total by Friday, September 9th. I'll give you one more moment to either get that bit.ly, it's just Capwell, or to get the image of that QR code, and I'll put the link in when I'm done chatting here in a moment. So I do see some trends, but I'm not going to say what they are yet because I don't want to, you know, just do anything with those results. And I'll share those out in October. And now I'm going to go into what we've been working on at System. And I did see that Rich Halverson is here. Kahele Cruz is also on the committee for strategic planning at the system level. So if you have questions, you can reach out to any of the three of us to kind of get an idea of what's going on. But this is kind of hot off the press, and it has changed a little bit since Lasner presented this at Board of Regents. So you will see a lot of familiarity with what we're doing. So at the system level, there's kind of 4 overarching imperatives. They're calling them imperatives. I think that I like strands or something that kind of gives us more of this idea of connection. And I think on our campus so far, we're calling them priorities. But none of these, I think, will be a surprise to you. So really focusing on student success, what's going on with our workforce, and how do we make that stronger for today and tomorrow. Also embracing Kuleana to Hawaiians and Hawaii. And then also looking at diversifying Hawaii's economy through UH innovation and research. So this is probably the biggest change to what we're doing at the system level compared to our campus. So our campus, we're kind of going to show and weave in that number 4 throughout the other 3. Okay, so the UH system created objectives, and they based those for each of these different imperatives, and they based those on the town hall data. So you may have gone to one of those town hall meetings last year, and then they came up with, I think, 4 for each. So I'll walk you through those very quickly. So for student success, we're looking at increasing participation in post-secondary education statewide, looking at how we're going to provide all students the necessary support. I'm a little leery when I see all, because I don't know if that's possible, but it is just the dream of what we're hoping to do. Looking at multiple modalities and what our students need and prefer. And also looking at how are we going to be innovative, right? How are we going to keep up? How are we going to make students want to come to campus, or not even campus, or our college in general, right? These are trends going on nationally. So in terms of the workforce needs, we're thinking about the occupations that really that we need to fulfill. And look at this, community well-being. So it's coming in, like we're thinking about it not only on our campus, but that there is this, that the words are being used system-wide, which I find really exciting. Something that I haven't seen here though is, yes, Kelvin, I will give you the link. Thank you for asking. I got your back. So I'll share those with you. Now, something that I think when we think about these highly skilled, really in-demand professions, do we have the funding to support the teachers coming in to do this instruction? So I think that's really going to be a conversation to have. Is our budget reflecting our values when it comes to supporting the nurse? Like, I'm just going to use our campus for nursing, for example. Right, thinking about increasing non-traditional offerings. So we see that a lot too. I would say even with our non-traditional students in our area, because our population isn't growing in East Oahu. So really, how are we going, who's our student population? Who's our community? We are a community college and what that looks like. And thinking about partnerships across the state and county. And so we have those already. We have a lot going on within our campus already doing this. And then thinking then, of course, once again, that I don't know, I'm not sure if everyone wants to learn for life or wants to be innovative or an entrepreneur, but here it is. These are what we're thinking about for the different objectives within these imperatives. And we're moving on then to thinking about Kuleana for Hawaiians, or to Hawaiians in Hawaii. So thinking about equity gaps and reducing those, increasing employment of Hawaiians across the UH system. And I think this is a huge one, thinking about that executive level, as well as, hey, do our students, can they identify with the people teaching them? So focusing on that in the next 6 years. And then looking at opportunities to help all of us with language, culture, and knowledge in Hawaii and what that looks like within a colonization. And then also thinking about an active role in advancing the language, culture, and the life quality of life for Native Hawaiians across the islands. Okay. And lastly, this innovation, okay, this was interesting because it came in later on after external talks. So you can see it's not really maybe as refined as the other 3, and we're still kind of finessing it. So I think our campus is taking the right approach by thinking of, oh, it's going to just emerge from the other 3 themes that we have. So thinking about different innovation hubs, I like the shout out to data science. Yay. Okay. I think they had data visualization within that too. And then thinking more about the infusion of innovation, discovery, and entrepreneurship. You may be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, I already see that there's overlaps within these areas, and there are indeed overlaps. So I think that makes it really imperative, and I'll get to it later for our campus, but that our executive leadership team, that they'll be overseeing these and leading the efforts around those 3 areas, so that they'll be in communication to be able to see where there's commonalities or where there could be points of distinction. And of course, weaving through the Indigenous knowledge through its research and scholarship. I think our campus is doing an awesome job. Once again, shout out to PAOA and many other of the programs that we have. So that's kind of the baseline of what's going on at the system level. And you're going to have an opportunity to provide input. And to achieve those objectives, that's the next kind of step in the conversation, is getting even more granular. So what's going to have the biggest impact on those areas? So how are we going to get there through the action items that we have? And I know Jamie Sickle introduced me to this concept years ago, and it has stuck with me about measuring what we value instead of just simply valuing what's easily measurable. So it's a push, but for those of you who are psychology majors or love psychology in general, you know, everything is measurable. So we will find ways to really assess how we're doing in the areas that we feel we can even continue to strive and improve on. So you will have an opportunity through Consider It. Now, so far, we've been doing Consider It boards through the smaller, like just for that UH Strategic Planning Committee. But hot off the press, just before I got on the call today, Pearl has asked me to kind of lead the efforts across the UH system at the different events. So and I have the dates now. Oh, okay, so that's out of order. Sorry about that. So these town halls, you can mark your calendars. It looks like there's going to be 3 opportunities to participate and give feedback at the system level around those the different action items, which are going to be, you know, how are we going to reach those different objectives I shared with you? There might be room for some of those to change, but the objectives, maybe the language will change a bit, but I think the kind of what the priorities are will not. Okay. And like I said, so Kapiolani CC is doing something similar. This, you can tell, is poorly pasted from an email, but you may have seen this come through in CAC. So this is from Chancellor. And what, if you haven't had a chance yet, your department leads or your unit heads, whoever is in charge, will be providing their feedback, or should have by last Friday, around these different areas. And really what we're trying to do is what we do well, and what that means is kind of the secret gems. So things that maybe your department, your unit's doing that people might not realize, like you're slaying it, you want to shed light on it and celebrate it. I really hope the goal for me with this whole exercise is to really have it be more of a celebration than feel like, oh, it's something I have to do. I'm compliance, right? We're just trying to really get an overall picture. So what's awesome is that ELT, our executive leadership team, they've come in and they've started thinking about it at the institutional level. And now the different departments and units have had to think about it more on what they're doing in the day-to-day. Okay, and a lot of this you can see aligns with what I shared, what's going on at the system level. So what I was we were supposed to kind of talk about this last week, but we didn't get a chance. So I think as far as the direction going forward for the next semester, if ELT has any kind of idea of what you envision within these 3 areas, I'd love to hear it. And then I'll leave it at this. So thank you so much, and mahalo for your time.
Thank
It's a
you,
lot.
Carol.
Yeah.
It is a lot. It's a lot to swallow. I think there was one request, Kara, if you are able to share the slides.
Yes.
So those who are attending can share them with their folks. That would be great. Any questions for Kara? Okay.
So Brian, if I don't know, the question that I had for you all was like, where are you in thinking about this process for our campus? So that's what I would like to kind of see what's going on, because I know what we're doing on the system level this semester, but if you can give us kind of an idea, or maybe at CAC, I think that would be helpful.
Okay. I think we can do that. I think Maria can do that. Yeah, we can do that. And I'll make sure we make that a topic of discussion in our next ELT meeting. All right, folks, anything else? Well, this was a good start to the semester. I appreciate 60 some odd people joining. I wasn't expecting this many people. And let's continue to kick butt, have a great semester. Of course, if there's anything you guys all need, please talk to department chairs or talk to the administration. We'll make sure we try to get things rolled out. Otherwise, be good to each other. Take care of each other. See you guys later.
Thanks. I did have a question, sorry, in the chat, Brian, just about parking. So if I have folks visiting for meetings, or if we have potential students who want to come to campus, because I noticed there's a lot of blue tape around now shutting off like guest parking. So where should we have folks guest park when they come to campus if we're having an in-person meeting, for example?
So it really depends on how the guests are coming in. Let's talk about the first type of guest. Somebody just interested and they want to stop by and see the campus. It's basically going to park anywhere. It doesn't say staff. If it's in a prearranged visit, maybe they're meeting with Sheldon or Alfie or something like that. They can work out whatever the meeting place would generally be, and again, as long as they're not in any type of staff parking. But in the situation where you have a meeting or you have a speaker coming in, let's just say this happens quite a bit. There's I don't know, health sciences brings in speakers from the industry quite a bit. What we do is they'll contact my office and speak with Shelley, and Shelley will provide them with temporary parking passes for the day. So it really depends. Nothing has changed from previous years, from pre-pandemic. We are kind of in limbo, and this is a good time for me to remind everyone. We lost about 15 people, but maybe this is a great time to remind everyone that it's not going to be in the distant future that we are going to have to start charging for parking. Louise and I and the administration have largely chosen not to charge for parking because the only campus that charges for parking besides Manoa right now is Honolulu. And Honolulu has it at a rate in which it doesn't make any sense. They charge $25 per semester. And that's not an appropriate rate. It should be a little bit higher, especially for a campus that close to town, that close to downtown Honolulu. They should be higher. But I'm refusing to put one in institute fees right now, because we do that, students will legitimately make a decision to go to Leeward, will legitimately make a decision to go to Windward, or even now just stay online as opposed to coming here. So we're really waiting for rail to open up, because once rail opens up, Leeward is going to be forced to have to institute their fees. And so the limbo that we're in right now is, at a certain point in time, we're going to start these fees, and those fees will then pay for students and or casual hire employees to serve as basically meter maids, as parking lot monitors. Because there's no sense in doing a requirement if we're not going to enforce it. and a requirement for parking permits if we're not going to enforce it. So that's the limbo we're in. If you guys remember, pre-pandemic, 2020 fall 2020 was the year that, or the semester we were going to institute. And then we said, no, doesn't make any sense. Why would we do it now? No one's even here. So now here we are at a couple of years later, and I'm not even looking at 23 fall, to be honest with you, but I do need to remind everyone that it is not going to be in the distant future that we are going to have to institute these rates. So how do we come up with these rates? We have discussed this a couple of times in hiring a consultant, a parking consultant, to determine what the market rate would be. When we do facility use, for example, for the studio, or for they're having some sort of fair down at Kapiolani Park, etc. And when we rent parking out, we do it based upon the city and county parking rates for street parking, which is like $1.50, $2 per hour. And it can get pricey. And so, no, we're not looking at charging employees $16 a day. That would be $2 times 8 hours of work, right? Or since we work at Kapiolani, $2 times 12 hours of work. And so, you know, that's not the plan. So we really need to get a consultant in here, because I certainly don't want to institute a fee that is much too low, like Honolulu has. Okay. So I was kind of a long-winded answer to your question, Kara, but for right now, there's really no restrictions. Just, you know, we have enough parking. We have more than enough parking for people. Now, when parking becomes an issue, the only thing we're concerned about, and that's why we have a guard in the front of the morning, is hikers and exercisers. And because, well, why? It's not because we're against people working out or enjoying Hawaii. It's because those can become habitual, and those can then become, it becomes the norm now. And now they're taking up and clogging up space. If we have a visitor coming in from California because a child or a teenager wants to come and see the campus, cool. You're here for a couple of hours and you're gone. But it's when Leahi Hospital employees, Diamond Head Health Center employees, Kaimuki middle school teachers, etc. When they start using our parking, that's kind of when we have the larger issue. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate the context. That was very helpful.
Yep. Okay. Well, I appreciate all of you guys, and you guys have a wonderful afternoon, wonderful week, and a great semester. Louise will be back for the next town Zoom. There was a question. 2 people asked the question. No, we are still doing, at least as far as ELT knows. Maybe Louise has a different thing in her head, but it's still going to be once per month on the first Wednesday. Okay.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, guys. I'm not going to make you say goodbye. I'm going to just make you shoot shaka like we're on KHON. Okay. All right. See you guys later. Take care.
Bye.